Imagine that.
Imagine that. Call to order and recording of members present and absent.
Hanson,
Here.
Kane,
Here.
McDermott,
Aye.
Parker.
Here.
Slater's absent.
Open meeting compliance statement.
I, the undersigned clerk of the Board of Education of the Alva Independent School District, number 1 of Woods County, Oklahoma, certify that prior to December 15th of the last calendar year, the date, time, and place of this regular meeting was filed in the office of the county clerk of the Woods County, Oklahoma. I also certify that at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, notice of the date, time, and place, and agenda of this meeting was posted in prominent public view at the location of this meeting.
Thank you. Consent agenda. All the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature, normally approved by one board vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. Consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and approval of the following. Addition of items of new business to the agenda.
There are none.
Minutes of the August 3rd, 2020 regular meeting. Approval of the finance report, approval of the activity fund report, and approval of the child nutrition report.
Okay, we'll back up to 3.2, our August 3rd, 2020 regular meeting minutes. I did not see any errors with that. 3.3, our finance report. You see the second attachment in your meeting are the investments that our treasurer, Mr. Manning, takes care of, and those are all in good standing and up to date. The first attachment is a finance report that I've prepared for you all. I've showed you this graph before, and this is a comparison. I need to get my title fixed there. It's FY21 and FY20, and it basically just is showing the differences in our expenses and our revenue collections. You can see that we're obviously down in our revenue collections in comparison to our last school year. We've done really well from an expense perspective. I thank our administrators and our teachers for that. But we'll continue to monitor that, and I'll continue to bring that comparison to you each month. Our activity fund report, it has been a quiet month with our activity funds. We've had a few fundraisers. Football sold the gold cards. I believe that's activity account number 810. And that is really all the activity that has been in there. They're all in good standing. 3.5, our child nutrition report, had really positive reviews, not only from our students, but also our staff with our partnership with Keystone Food Services. That has been a really good thing. And even more positive news that we received this week from the USDA and from the State Department, and that is our ability to offer free meals to students 18 and under. And so need to really thank Mrs. Durkee. She has been outstanding with all of the paperwork that's gone in to the application process for that. Right now, what we're doing is going back to September 1st, and we are eliminating the charges from that day forward. We still have to charge prior to September 1, and so we'll be getting information out to parents on that. It's still slow coming in from the state, and so as soon as we continue to get all that information, we will get that out to parents, but that is good news for our students. Are there any questions with our consent agenda? If there are none, I would recommend its approval.
I'd make the motion that we approve 3.1 through 3.7 as presented.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Vote to approve purchase order encumbrances for the following funds for fiscal year 21. 4.1 General Fund as referenced. 4.2 Building Fund as referenced. And 4.3 Child Nutrition Fund as referenced.
Okay, we'll begin first with our general fund, and go through a couple of those purchase orders. The first one, number 209, Edgenuity, for $4,200. That is software that's used in our middle school and high school alternative education. Purchase order number 211, Renaissance Learning. That is a software program that we use for accelerated reader. Purchase order number 213, Houghton Mifflin, $8,100. That is going to be some professional development that is going to work in tandem with our January professional development on vertical alignment. And so earlier in the year, we received a grant from the State Department of Education. Mr. Feely is working with this group out of Colorado, and they will conduct a virtual professional development in January, and then this purchase order number 213 will cover professional development in February. Purchase order number 221, Companion Core, for $5,095. This is our software program that's used in our libraries to check out books, but then also we've been able to barcode our Chromebooks, and they use this software for checking in and out Chromebooks. Purchase order number 226, I want to bring your attention to that, floorcare.biz. Back in June, we purchased, we had an encumbrance for electrostatic sprayers from Jenkins and Price. And with everything that's happened throughout this pandemic, we couldn't get those in. And so we canceled that, and I was able to find this company, and we've received those already and already been able to put those to good use. This, again, will be part of that CARES funding money, and we'll be reimbursed for that. With our building fund, really one major purchase order that I wanted to bring to your attention, Vendetti Plumbing for $1,400. We had a drain in the bottom floor of Lincoln. That drain happens to be in a classroom. I believe it was part of the expansion, and they built over the top of it, and it was backing up into a classroom. None of the classrooms are used down there, so we're very fortunate not to have to move any classrooms or students. But we did have to spend that money to get it fixed. 4.3, our Child Nutrition Fund. One major expense to draw your attention to there, Lucky's Fixture Company. That's for a new ice machine in the high school cafeteria. 4.4, our gift fund. These are our Share Trust Scholarship recipients. We talk a lot about what a great place Alva is to live, and this is another example of that. Just want to read some of these student numbers off to you of our students that receive these scholarships. 16 students at Northwestern Oklahoma State University, 10 at OSU, 4 at UCO, 1 at Southwestern, 1 at Butler, 1 Nebraska, 3 at OU, 1 at Parker University, 1 at Northern Oklahoma and Stillwater, 2 at SMU, and 1 at Pratt. And so that's really impressive that the Share Trust is able to help our students fund their education. Are there any questions about any of our funds? If there are none, I would recommend their approval.
Move to approve 4.1 through 4.4.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
We'll begin first with a resignation. We received a resignation from Megan Schulze. Megan is a pre-K teacher at Washington Early Childhood Center. Her boyfriend has accepted a job out of state, and she is going to continue working through this first semester, and then we'll be moving down there to be with him, and so Mr. Feely will begin interviewing for that position. Some communication that I just want to make the board aware of, give you an art room update. This Thursday, there will be a pre-bid tour. Kyler Construction will be coming up and meeting those that are interested in looking at the art room before submitting bids. And then on September 22nd, we will have a bid opening at the high school cafeteria. To give you a timeline or a process for how that will work, once Kyler Construction receives those bids and opens those, they will put together a report that we will present to the board in October. And you all as a board will be able to look at those numbers and those bids, and we'll be able to see where we're at and how we want to proceed at that time. That is all I have.
Thank you. Items of current business. 6.1, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the estimate of needs for the Alva Independent School District for fiscal year '21.
So each of you at your table, let's see if it'll maybe pull up here, it may not, have a booklet prepared by Carroll and Associates for our estimate of needs. This is a document that we go through each year. Just point out a couple of things to you that you can be looking at. When you look at Exhibit A and specifically page 2 and page 3, those give you the amounts that were estimated last year and then what we actually collected. And that's a really good reference point as I begin developing the budget for our school year, to look at what we collected and what was estimated each year. And so that's done for each fund. And that first one that you look at on page 2 and 3 is your general fund. And then if you turn over to page 8 and 9, you have your building fund. $14 and $15 child nutrition, and then our sinking fund. I want to draw your attention also, if you'll turn towards the back to page 29, Exhibit Y, and this is what we begin initially when we begin building the budget. As you know, next month I will present a budget book for you all to review and approve. And so if you look at that, I'm gonna pull up these spreadsheets and hopefully it will kind of make a little bit of sense to you as what we do each month. But we take the estimate of needs provided by Carroll and Associates and we plug those in. And you can see balance required for $4,720,189. That is this estimate of needs line here with current year ad valorem. So that's what we project to collect. And so we'll go through when we put this estimate of needs in this column with our budget, and we're able to monitor that and track that each month. And you see our percentage out here to the side. This tells us when we collect what we are comparatively to what Mr. Carroll had for our budgeted estimate of needs. And so to give you an idea, we go down and look at, oh goodness, let's say, let's look at gross production. So when you look at gross production, last year we collected over $1 million in gross production. I projected 55%. You can see that in my column here to get us to $588,000. Mr. Carroll is projecting $802,000. Our estimate of needs is obviously what we're appropriated to spend, and that is what we can spend up to. But we always budget conservatively as we move forward. You can see that right now, when you look at comparatively to our estimate of needs and what we've collected, $31,000, we've collected 4% of our estimate of needs. Okay. We are very fortunate, again, to live in the community that we do because our patrons have paid taxes and we've been able to collect on time, which helps our budget and helps our school district. Do you have any questions over the estimate of needs? If There
I
are
think
no
it's
other
always,
items.
I think it's always really awesome to point out that our district has no indebtedness. And I think that's pretty rare for a school district. It's not something that, I mean, we may someday, but that's huge. A lot of zeros in there, in those areas. And so I'm proud of the fact that our school has done a really good job of managing their money. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no questions, I would recommend.
Motion we approve 6.1.
I'll second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Discussion with possible board action, appoint the superintendent to review results of the National Criminal History Record Searches for fiscal year 21.
This is a routine agenda item that we approve each year during this time, and this is, makes me responsible for reviewing all background checks for employees and contracted employees. If there's no questions, I would recommend this agenda item approval.
So moved.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the Internal Activities Committee for fiscal year 21 as listed. Administrator Corey Smith, Mike Sklar, Dusty Horn, Misty Wonger, Vice Wonger, Randy Nation, and parent Jesse Chapman.
So this committee complies with our current board policy FMA. This committee can meet and review any appeals to our 10-day activity absence rule. This is a normal routine committee that we formed each year, and we appreciate Mr. Chapman's willingness to volunteer to be on this committee, and really all the staff members' willingness to be on this committee. If there is no questions, I would recommend the approval of agenda item 6.3.
So moved.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Parker,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.4, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the Gifted and Talented Committee for fiscal year 21. Parents of elementary students, Alex Mance and Kendra Snabel. Teacher of elementary students, Danielle Cushenberry. Parent of middle school students, Jessica Cree. Teacher of middle school students, Casey Adair. Parent of high school students, Melanie Gassford. Teacher of high school students, Dalton Beeler. Counselors, Eileen Littlefield, J.C. Heaton, and Misty Beiswanger. And Administrator, Stephanie Martini.
This committee, again, meets each September, and the board approves it. They review policy EHBB, which is our gifted and talented policy. And so these committee members serve a 2-year term, and then they rotate those committee members. Next month in October, after this committee meets, we will bring the gifted and talented policy to the board for your approval. Are there any questions? If there are none, I would recommend approval of this committee.
So moved.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.5, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the revised extra duty salary schedule for fiscal year 21, retroactive to August 28th, 2020.
So the reason this is I would ask the board to retroactively approve this adjusted extra duty salary schedule is with regard to our home football games. Prior to this year, we've had parents that have volunteered to do that, and we're unable to find those volunteers this year. And so just like we have in basketball, we've had to pay gate workers, we're going to need to do that this year. When we reviewed our extra duty salary schedule, it was noted that we would pay per game. And our gate at football is from 5:30 to 7:30. And so in speaking with Mr. Horn and Mr. Smith, that wasn't a real fair stipend or pay for those folks keeping the gate. And so that is why we would recommend that it be adjusted, and we have a noted line for football gatekeeper at $25 a game. If there are no questions, I would recommend approval of this revised extra duty salary schedule retroactive to August 28th.
Did we have paid people at our first game, or were they volunteers?
We did.
We did, good,
Yes, and part of that is, and that's why we wanted to do it retroactively, was to be able to pay them what we wanted to pay folks moving forward.
Great.
Uh-huh.
Motion?
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Parker.
Yes.
6.6, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the revised extra duty assignments for fiscal year '21.
Hopefully, you all are able to see the noted changes to our revised extra duty assignments. We'll start first of all, Pete Phillips and Cody Cooper we have divided those boys' basketball positions up into 8th and 7th grade. And so therefore we've split that coaching duty stipend between those two. You'll also notice that we have junior class sponsors that have been added to the extra duty assignment sheet. And then you'll also notice that we have our alternative ed 5% added to the extra duty assignment sheet, which is all pretty routine for this month of September as we get those folks in those positions. I might add that we are still looking for an academic team sponsor for the high school. We don't have one at this point, so Mr. Smith is checking with teachers and trying to find somebody to take over that group. Any questions on our extra duty assignment schedule? If there are none, I would recommend its approval.
I'd make a motion we accept 6.6 as presented.
Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Any new business?
It is not.
Proposed executive session to discuss staff negotiations and the AEA contract, 25 Oklahoma State Statute, Section 307B2. Vote to convene into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.